All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Talking Ball, y'all. We appreciate you coming back to us. If this is your second or third time here, and welcome to the show. If this is your first time here, thanks for joining us. I am Cass Hargis. That is Jason Dewey and Lance Lacoste, and we are here talking some Week One results. I know we spoke last week about looking ahead to this Week One slate. It was loaded. It was a lot of big time matchups around the state we were looking forward to. It definitely did not disappoint.
Yeah, no, it was a great slate of games, and we said that coming in. We knew it would be a lot of fun football to watch. Started off heavy on Thursday with some great matchups, and it just picked up from there.
We did, and we'll go straight to it. We'll go in chronological order of the games we talked about on Thursday night. We had two of them that we featured on the show. We had Newman St. Charles Catholic being played at St. Charles Catholic, and up north we had Evangel at Neville. We could start wherever y'all want to go with one of those two, but one came down to the last play. The other one, I don't know that it was a shocker that St. Charles won. Maybe by that margin was a little bit of a shock, but Newman kind of starting over. We're losing so many guys from last year, but that one, maybe kind of went how we thought it would. But that game up in North Louisiana with Evangel and Neville was really, really good.
I was say I got to see that St. Charles Catholic team play in the playoffs last year, and came in with some kind of negative energy, negative feedback about that team because they got off to a slow start early in the year. But I was actually very impressed with their young quarterback in the playoffs and a couple of the skill guys. They had a very talented receiver, really talented running back. I know Brooks Monica, I believe is the name, is the linebacker. Coach Frank's grandson, I believe, he was an absolute stud. I know he's back, and so after leaving that stadium in the playoff game, after that playoff win last year, I knew that this was going to be a team that was going to be really good this year. And, kind of the opposite for Newman. Newman lost a lot. They're kind of rebuilding, new coach, kind of a new era of Newman. So, that one for me kind of went as expected.
Yeah, a really nice play by Chisholm McLean, too, with that punt return for a touchdown. St. Charles Catholic staple, great special teams. Kind of a few mistakes in the special teams game. Had a few field goal attempts that had some botched holds, which is a little uncharacteristic that you'll see from the comments. But what you saw is Skylar Edwards in that rushing attack of St. Charles just continue to ground the football, continue to run the football, which is what they do. Defense flying to the football, playing with their hair on fire and gang tackling. There was a lot of drives for Newman where they ended in the red zone. And I think that red zone defense, that's going to be a theme we're going to talk about tonight, which is red zone defense really making the difference. But what really kind of surprised me was to see Jake Randall back at quarterback. Not shocking because you want your best athlete touching the football. And, guys, I thought he did a heck of a job. Not his natural position, going to go play football at Tulane playing the running back position, but really did a good job. That St. Charles defense just a bit too much.
Yeah, and it was, like you said, the staple of St. Charles is special teams and defense. Again, a lot of their guys, they took their lumps last year, especially early. And it wasn't a characteristic year for what they're used to under Wayne Stein, and it seems like they're going to get it right back rolling this year. And then, man, up north, Neville hosting Evangel. Game comes down to literally the last play of the game. The way it got there was a little bit exciting. Evangel goes for two twice in the fourth quarter, misses it both times, and still gets the ball back with a chance to win. They lined up to kick a 35, 36-yard field goal on the last play of the game, and it was blocked by Neville. A very exciting game. And one thing I saw on these two that really kind of surprised me, they've played 6 times in the history. Evangel's only beaten Neville 1 time. So whatever Neville has over Evangel, it's worked again. But, yes, it was shocking to say they only won 1 time.
Yeah, and I think when you look at that game, it wasn't just the crescendo ending. It was the build up to the finale. It was Neville trailing in that game, forcing a fumble on the 5-yard line and Neville to punch it in quick. It was them returning a punt back for a touchdown to put themselves in that game. Responding to those big plays we saw from an Evangel offense that I think we could all agree could be a top 5, top 10 in the state. With Pop Houston at quarterback, a solid running back, some solid receivers as well, and Neville's defense just showed up when they needed to. Last drive really sloppy for Evangel. They again forced a turnover to even be put in that position, drove the length on the field, but just couldn't get it in, and had a blocked field goal to end the game, which is another something else we're going to continue to talk about. Opportunities in special teams being taken advantage of.
Yep. The plan, we talked about this earlier. Okay.
Lance, what you got?
No, I was just saying, I think week one victories, whether wins or losses, those are some like really valuable week one experiences. Like you can't expect these high school teams to be perfect down the stretch, especially in a week one game. But there's so much I'm sure to be learned from on both sides of the ball. I think it's a lot of confidence that Neville gets from winning that way, and then a great opportunity for Evangel to learn. I mean, they're gonna have a really long, playoff run, and so these are the type of lessons they can look back on, as they learn from their week one mistakes, I guess.
Especially the way it ended with Evangel, and they were in the 2-minute hurry up offense, and again, you're dealing with high school kids in a pressure packed situation like that. Things aren't going to go smooth and go perfectly, and it looked a little bit like they were discombobulated for just a few plays, but you can't practice that. You can, but you can't be in that situation unless it happens to you in a game. And I'd be willing to bet that the next time it happens, it's going to be much more smooth in the way that it's going to get run. And again, that's why these games are played. That's why these teams schedule those games. Win or lose, you're going to gain some valuable experience from it. And there's no doubt that was gained on Thursday night. Then when you flip ahead to Friday night, speaking of gaining experience, we'll talk about the team that flew across the country. And John Curtis went out to California to play Cathedral High, and all they did was score 54 points and rush for a school record 654 yards. Jacoby Boudreaux, their senior running back, had 11 carries for 218 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's eye-popping stuff against a very, very good and very talented team from California, who, by the way, that was their 3rd game of the season. Curtis travels all that way to play their 1st game of the season against a team that's essentially in the middle of their year and does that to them. That is extremely impressive.
Yeah, but that's what they do. That's what they do, right, Lance? I mean,
that's exactly what I was going to say. I think that's a style of play that travels well. And how many times has this school from California seen that style of football too? It might be their 3rd game, but they've never faced a JT Curtis machine that Curtis brings to the table. So it was pretty cool to see. I mean, then I know there's a couple other schools that traveled out of state that put on a great show this week too. But it's always cool to see.
Well, I mean, I got to watch a decent bit of that game, the beginning, and it kind of looked like it was getting away. So I kind of flipped to one of those other games that were on Thursday night. What we got to see is a running display, obviously, even at that early point in the game. And early, I think they had a fumble in the red zone. It kind of looked like Cathedral was going to come back in that game, but it's just the steady push of that Curtis offensive line, having running backs and quarterbacks that know how to operate that system because they've been running it since the 8th, or earlier than that, really. They've been running it their entire life. They know it. But, I want to also commend, I think we talked about 98 broadcasts in total this week. And if you are a high school football fan, you can catch a ton of games. I watched a bunch of games this week. I didn't even think I'd be able to. But one thing I loved was, and again, love the Curtis broadcast, did a great job. But I mentioned you guys in the text. My favorite call of the week was they said, and they ran the same play, but to the right side and they scored a touchdown this time. And I said, I didn't know they had more than one play. They run it to the left and to the right, and it works every single time. I don't know how many other plays they got other than, run beer option right at you. But they did an incredible job operating their offense this week.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's, again, it's one thing when you see it all the time. It's still difficult to defend. But yeah, that style travels. The defense they play travels, and just the fact that you don't see it very often is definitely in their favor. And by the way, they're really good at doing what they do. Speaking of being really good at doing what they do and running the same type of offense with the same type of physicality all the time, there was a shocker in the Lafayette area with Ruston and Acadiana. Again, not because Ruston won, but because it was 49-7. And this game was over before it even started. I mean, it got started. Ruston was on a roll, and they went down there and absolutely flexed their muscle on a really, really good Acadiana team.
Yeah, and
this is a new, somewhat of a I was gonna say
You're good.
somewhat of a new Acadiana coaching staff, right? I mean, new head
Yep.
coach, but what all do we know about his Acadiana staff?
Their staff, most of their staff's new as well. A lot of those guys, and they all came from different
Yeah.
places. It's not like all they came from one spot where they worked with each other
Mhm.
before. There's some new stuff going on over there.
But yeah, Powell was incredible. We talked
Yeah, I know
about
it's
him
some like
last week.
family blood and all, but it's a little different.
Yep.
Yeah. But Powell was incredible as a running back for Ruston in the first half. Kay, as you mentioned, 2 consecutive running backs behind that offensive line have been all-state running backs at Ruston. Powell looks to be the next one in a great lineage. 4 first half touchdowns, including a kickoff return for a touchdown. And of course, Ahmad Hudson had to get himself some as well. And when you got a 6'7" tight end / wide receiver hybrid, and you have a 5'10" cornerback, it's a brutal matchup to have. They just took advantage of it, and what an incredible game by Ruston, really kind of putting the state on notice, although I don't think anybody really needed a notice. I think we all knew this was a team you had to be worried about, and further proving why. Strong defense, played really well. Again, we know it's fear option, not a ton of plays that are run, but Acadiana does it very well, and it was just nothing going.
No, that was again, you see that score and it jumps off the screen right at you. We'll stay in the Lafayette area. It seems to have a lot of good games going on down there. And Rummel Lafayette Christian came down to, again, a kick at the end of the game. Rummel scores a touchdown. LCA blocks the extra point, goes on to win 27-26. Kind of a game that we probably expected to see from these 2 teams. A huge win for LCA. This is a program that last year went through a lot of turmoil with a coaching change after week 2 or 3. That was also the first year that they dropped down from Division II down to Division III. So there was a lot of change going on. They lose maybe the most decorated or one of the most decorated players of the last 10, 15 years in the state, and Juwan Johnson. They almost like they're starting over. The staff comes back. The interim coach, Coach Stanford, gets the head job. Your first game's against Rummel at home, and you're able to block an extra point to win the game.
Yeah, for me, you kind of summed it up right there. Like I've been super impressed by this LCA program. How it seems like every time you think that certainly they're not going to be as good this year, right? Somehow they're just as good or better. Like it's crazy how are they doing it? I'd love to know more about that program. Just the fact that they're continuing to be this good year over year. But yeah, really impressive. I mean, I think similar situation there with Rommel, like I alluded to earlier. I'm sure they learned a lot from this week 1 loss. They got a lot of battles ahead of them, and certainly a lot of these Catholic League matchups are going to come down to some special teams plays. So I'm sure it's a really tough loss for Coach Monica, but certainly a lot that they can harp on, I'm sure, in the film.
Yeah, and I thought Rommel ran the ball pretty well in the first half. They went up 10-0, and LCA just came back. They have such a high-powered arsenal set of weapons on the offensive side of the football. And Coach Monica mentioned on Thursday. He said, their quarterback was the best athlete we saw all year, and he had a nice day. Along with, again, they're able to, similar to a lot of high schools, they have a great running back in Bellard, who's a guy whose name you're going to hear. He's a sophomore, I believe, who got some reps last year. But they kind of use their passing game as an extension of the run by kind of playing numbers, which is a common thread across the state. And they do it really well. And then they exploit it and take a shot up top, and they have the explosive weapons to make it happen.
Yeah, it's really impressive, like you said, Lance, about what goes on down there at that program. Because, yes, they do have really talented players, and they seem to, to kind of get some players, year in, year out. But to win at the consistency they're winning with the turnover they have year to year, at the different levels they're winning, it takes more than that. And, that staff they've done a really good job over there of keeping that train rolling and making that one of the better programs in the state on a year in and year out basis. Speaking of talent and year in, year out basis, one of the better programs in the state on the West Bank, we had matchup of the Division I Select and Division II Select state champs from last year. Carr 35, Shaw nothing. There's the stats on Carr's offensive side are unbelievable, but I think the stat that sums this game up the best is Shaw did not get a first down until the last play of the third quarter. and that first down was made on a fake punt. Their offense did not pick up a first down. And if Carr's defense can play like that with the weapons that they have on offense, I don't know who's going to beat them.
Yeah, I feel like if you're Coach Tierney after that game, you tell your team, look, guys, good news, we don't ever have to play them again this year, right? Like we don't, whatever we got coming up isn't going to be this tough. So, I mean, it's always good to put yourself up against the best, see where it's a great measuring stick, of course. But yeah, I mean, Carr is just more of Carr. I met with a couple of their players earlier this year, and those kids are beyond confident that they're going to repeat. And so, and I'm not going to disagree with them. So, yeah, it's just
it's not unwarranted, right? They have reason to believe that. They have reason to have faith. They're confident in their coach. He's done a phenomenal job over the years having his young men prepared. And Lance, we called a game last year with Carr. We called Holy Cross and Carr, and we had some technical difficulties that day, if you recall.
More than that. Yeah, it was terrible. Oh God, it was terrible.
If you don't trust us, again, people on BSN, go ahead and click that link and watch that game. It was a rough first quarter for everybody involved. We were scrambling to figure out issues. However, it was a 21 to lead for Holy Cross in that game. Boom, out the gate. And I looked over at Lance, and we both kind of said, this game is far from over. And Carr just continued to pile on points. I don't believe they gave up another point in the game, or if it was late, and dominated the game. And it was all about adjustments. They had to adjust. Holy Cross they took advantage of their opportunities. And as soon as Holy Cross gave them an inch, they made it into a gaping hole. And that's the kind of program that Carr is and will continue to be.
Yeah, we don't need to get too deep into week 2, but they have that American Heritage team coming over from Florida. There's a top. It may be, by the time the game gets played, a top 10 matchup in the country being played in the Superdome. But man, that Carr, it's so impressive to watch. And look, what Coach Bryce Brown does, not just from the football aspect, but from the discipline aspect and how hard those kids play, it's extremely, extremely impressive what goes on over there. Then, speaking of 2 big-time programs in Baton Rouge, we had Catholic and Destrehan playing for the second year in a row. And for the second year in a row, Catholic wins, but it wasn't a victory going away. Catholic wins by 9, 32-33. Destrehan got out to a 10-0 lead. Jabari Mack was playing cornerback, had a 100-yard interception return for a touchdown in the first quarter. And Catholic just kind of stayed in the game and kept playing and kept playing. They scored with under 8 minutes left to make it a 9-point game to kind of put the game out of reach.
Yeah. Jabari Mack and Jackson Fields, I feel like those kids have been playing for Destrehan for a decade.
Yep.
But they are great players. I think they're finally seniors, and I think they're going to have a great year this year. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't shocked when as I was following that score to see them get out to a good lead. I'm expecting them to have a great season. I know they didn't quite get it done, but yeah, I think that's going to be one of the best Destrehan teams, I believe, in a long time at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think when you look at the game, what was really impressive is the way that Catholic is able to be so multiple offensively and be so effective in every way that they try to move the football. A lot of guys preseason have talked, and rightfully so, about Jaden Miles, running back for Catholic, who is offers from major programs, LSU, Oklahoma, Auburn, the list goes on. But really, a really nice game for Justin Batiste as well, another junior running back out of Catholic who punched it in 3 times in the ball game.
Mm-hmm.
But really I think a lot of Destrehan fans are probably not thrilled because the reason he got 3 points in the early point is because Jalen Ash goes up, former Roma receiver, and makes a snag in the end zone. Upon replay, it was incomplete, but just an incredible on-the-dot pass by Justin Fields. However, I think there's a lot to take away from it. They were within scoring distance at the end, and it was a backward pass. Catholic picked it up to run off the clock. They had an opportunity at the end of the game. And sometimes when you're playing at Catholic in that environment, you guys have seen it. That's not an easy place to play. And I think Destrehan is something to hang their heads over. And again, moving forward, I think they still have a great shot to be making a run in Division I non-select.
And that's probably the toughest team that Destrehan plays this year, right? I mean, it's probably all downhill from here.
So somebody was mentioning to me earlier, they said, I heard it was something along the lines of, and I didn't agree with it, but it was like, I heard, so to be fair, I heard that Destrehan didn't look too good. And I said, listen, if we're using Catholic as the barometer on if a team is looking good or is not good, then we need to calibrate, because that is not a fair assessment to put any team behind.
Yeah.
And again, we'll continue to see Catholic win like that throughout the year.
Yeah, no, and it seems I'm with you, Lance, and this may be Destrehan's one of their better teams, in the last 5 or 6 years, which is saying a lot, but it also says just as much for Catholic. That just feels like it's almost like it's a program win. Like those guys show up. It didn't matter that Destrehan's, got all this talent, and Catholic, let's be very honest, Catholic has a lot of talent too, but they just expected to win. They held Destrehan to 65 yards passing. That's almost unheard of. I would be willing to bet that doesn't happen again the rest of the year. They held Destrehan to 65 yards passing. They played 2 quarterbacks. They just found a way to win. Like, that's just a program that no matter who's the quarterback at this point, no matter who the coach is, like, those guys just show up and they go and win. And there's some very intriguing matchups that could happen in the playoffs with that Division I select. Cardin Catholic might be one of the top ones to watch if we can see that again this year.
That one might be in the Dome. It could very well could be the game we see in the Dome. We've talked about but we've already talked about this, guys. You can really pick out of 7 or 8 teams in Division I select and say, I could easily see this team playing the Dome. St. Aug is another team we're probably going to touch on. Such a talented ball club with incredible weapons at wide receiver. In the words of Frank Monica, their tuba player runs a 4.4. So, they have speed all over the field, talent all over the field. And again, I think these are two definitely teams that are going to be cream of the crop in Division I select.
Yep. And then the last one of the games that we highlighted last week in the show was the other game that was between 2 defending state champs, another game that was happening in the Lafayette area. Vermilion Catholic and Catholic High New Iberia game played at Vermilion Catholic. Catholic New Iberia, again, that's a team it's defense, it's a running game. They traveled, they shut Vermilion Catholic out, and they win the game 20-0. That was the fact that they shut Vermilion Catholic out is extremely impressive.
I watched some of the highlights of this game, and the thing that jumped off the screen to me was Catholic New Iberia looked so much bigger and more physical than Vermilion Catholic. It was really unbelievable. And that's not a slight to Vermilion Catholic. It's more of a compliment to Catholic New Iberia's kids. I saw those guys in person last year. They were really impressive. I know they brought a good bit back, and man, they just looked like a big physical team for a smaller school.
And this might sound, and I got to watch this game in its entirety. One thing that stood out was the aggressiveness of Vermilion Catholic, like going for 4th down on your own 10-yard line and converting and continuing to go forward. It seemed like every time they went forward in these situations, they converted. And for Catholic New Iberia to still come on top the way that they did is unbelievable. Also, side note, Kyron Eugene, stud player, did not dress out. So he was not on the field at the time. However, Xavier Leday, 2 interceptions in the game, including one in the red zone. Guys, this team reminds me of, and again, they ran the ball pretty well, a big touchdown pass, but this team reminds me of East Jeff. I'm terrible with years, but East Jeff when Coach Salt won the title. That 2013,
yep.
That secondary was incredible. And the secondary for Catholic New Iberia reminds me of the same. Every time you turn on highlights from one of their games, their secondary is not only picking it, but running it back for 6, putting them in scoring territory. This defense will make them a threat for no other reason than they will put the offense in situations where you cannot want to score all you want. They're going to make you. They're going to put you on the 1-yard line. They're going to put up points. And I think there's really a team that's dangerous.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree. And again, that's just another one of those programs. I know they won it all last year. Maybe I don't know how many people expected it to happen last year, but definitely wouldn't be shocked to see them do that again. Those were the 8 that we touched on leading into the week. Obviously, there's more games around the state that were just as crazy. It had some big time scores. One I'd like to talk about a little bit is, again, in Lafayette, Karen Crow went to St. Thomas More 130-27. I don't know that it's that big of a shock that they went and won. That is a extremely difficult place to play. Obviously, it's hard to play there because the team you're playing is really good, but the environment's really good as well. But for Karen Crow, that's a program. They won a state championship 5 years ago. coaching change. They got a new coach. This is his second year there. He's really got that program back, kind of made it into his image. They got out of running so much veer stuff. They do a little more things out of the gun. It looks a little bit different, but they've got athletes everywhere. They kicked the game-winning field goal and then held on. St. Thomas threw an interception in the end zone on the last drive, I think, with like 8 seconds left. But to go there and to win in that way and to have to win late was really impressive by the Karen Crow Bears.
And they leaned on all three phases. They moved the ball when they needed to.
They had
You
a pick
mentioned,
six.
yes, I was about to say they had not only a pick six, but they also had a punt return as well.
So there was a sequence in that game where there was a pick six. There was St. Thomas More returned a punt for a touchdown, and on the very next kickoff, Karen Crow returned a kick for a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, and that just goes to show you need to be Lance, you're a special teams guy, right? The third phase of the game is the most overlooked, and it's come up again multiple times. And I think when you're talking about week one, though, that's one of the things you are going to see kind of come up a lot. But Chance Babineau, really big recruit out of there, 2 interceptions in the game. I thought the offense moved the ball when they needed to and did enough to get the job done. But really, Cass, what I love, like you said, multiple offensively and effective in both ways. They can go from the gun. They can go from the pistol. They can also run that split veer right at you, and still you're not going to see any difference or any uncharacteristic mistakes from this offensive line, blocking assignments, or these athletes and what they need to do.
Yep. Anything else? I know you were high on Jason, rightfully so, the coaching staff at East Ascension. That was a heck of a game with Brother Martin.
Yeah, what happened there?
So I got to watch that one. Do you have the score for me? I can't remember.
Easton Royal happened again. I know that.
Yeah,
yes.
Brother Martin won by like maybe a touchdown. They came back late.
So it was yes. So I watched that game, but I didn't keep track of the score. East Ascension. Let me see. I'm gonna look it up. So look, it was 29-22. But what you have to remember is East Ascension led this game 22-9 at one point.
They
and
jumped
Brother
up.
Martin had to come back. But as you guys mentioned, man, it was the Eastern Royal show. Put him on a jet sweep, pass him out the backfield, let him return a punt back to the 5-yard line. I mean, he was all over the field, and you can tell that offense is going to flow through him. They are able to maneuver him in ways that can put the defense out of position. And it really was effective. But again, we have to credit what East Ascension did in that game. They went toe-to-toe with a team that a lot of people probably wrote off and said, this is a team that they can't handle. I was really impressed with the way that East Ascension was able to run the football. Their defense came up in big situations. This is a team that is going to surprise a few people. I'm not saying a semifinal or title run, but this is a team that has weapons. Briston Martinez is a tackle that moved over to tight end. He's committed to LSU. A massive dude. Imagine that guy at the fullback position. I think he's 6'5", 330, coming at you as a tight end. Like, they have some guys, and I think they are going to be a concern for people on their schedule.
Lance, you could probably speak to this just because seeing all the different ways that Eastern Royal touched the football. But like as a defensive guy, even as a special teams guy, how do you – obviously you can put a game plan together. If they're going to throw him the football at receiver, we're going to have a guy over the top with a guy shot. Like you can kind of bracket him, do that. But if they put him at running back and hand the ball, there's really not much you can do.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. And I think that, sometimes as offense coordinators at a high school level, we really overthink it sometimes, It's like, man, just get the ball in and you play his best hands, let him do his thing. I used to, when a team had a great offensive player and they just put him at receiver, I actually almost appreciated that because I usually had at least one really good corner that I could just say, all right, at least we got a matchup. We can match up here. When you're moving them into the slot and into the backfield, I mean, that makes it just impossible, and you just got to hope you guys can corral them and be good tacklers more than anything. But yeah, I mean, I'm not certainly wasn't surprised. I mean, I was a little surprised when I saw EA up, but I wasn't surprised to see that Brother Martin can put up points really quickly because I know the great quarterback they got with Hudson Fields and a couple really good receivers they have. I think Rowan Lipscomb is another one that they have that's still a really good player at Brother Martin as well. So it's more than just Eastern Royal too.
And Royal had points taken off the board at least in one instance I can remember, but also dude reversed field like twice in this game. I'm talking went all the way to the left, realized he had nothing, circles all the way around and makes a play. I think one of them got called back, but I mean, just the athleticism and the speed he has is going to make him so dangerous. And what he opens up for the rest of the team, as you mentioned, Lance, with moving in the slot. You can put him in the backfield, and that we've been seeing that a lot lately. Kind of motioning over and putting him in that situation where you can hand him off the football. He's a guy you've got a game plan for, and even then, you're still going to find some cracks from some of those other athletes.
Yeah, no, he's a special talent. At some point, people are going to quit punting and kicking to him, though. Like, you might not be able to control if they hand him the football, but you cannot kick him the ball. Like, let's do that.
East Ascension did that, by the way. East Ascension did that. They realized, well, we ain't doing that again, and they changed their kicking approach.
So it took them kicking it to him to realize that they couldn't watch film and see he did it against Covington and at a jamboree.
Yeah, I mean that's the first thing is that a guy like that, we're not punting it down the middle to him. We're directional punting, and if the ball goes out of bounds, the ball's got to bounce. We're definitely directional punting, and that ball needs to land on the numbers, or that punt is getting an earful.
Yeah, that's when I saw that he actually had a chance to return a punt. Like, there's fake the punt. I mean, I don't know. Like, don't kick it to him. Don't kick it to him. There was a few. I'll let y'all go here in a second, but one that just came to mind. Chalmette and Eric, which is a game that was a great rivalry now in that District 8-5, whatever district they were in together for a long time. That district seemed to run through one of those two teams. They played. It's a non-district game now. How about the Owls, man? 35-0, and it wasn't. They had 3 interceptions. Breeze Wilson played a great game at quarterback. I think he had 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns. That's a very, very big win for that Owls team. There's expectations for them this year.
Yeah, I mean they were a team last year that was, I would say, a year ahead. Like they had low expectations last year. They were coming off of a great year. For them to go to the third round of the playoffs last year, and this kid Breeze Wilson have a great season last year was like, holy cow, they're a year ahead. They're gonna be way better than we ever thought they were gonna be, And so, and now it's showing. They have a linebacker that's got Power 5 offers too now, and so I mean they are really good on both sides of the ball. That was some of the games I was looking at. Like so, St. Paul's had a really good win. They're gonna be playing Brother Martin this week. And then Holy Cross and Chalmette both won. They'll be matching up in 2, not this week, but the following. So like, there's just as I recap week 1, it was just like thinking about what those matchups are going to look like as we get closer, to some of the big matchups,
And you mentioned the Owls, man. Tyree Darrensburg is a guy who I've watched the film on. Dude, he is brutal. He is. I would say he is. You could argue I would probably say the best linebacker in the state. He's currently committed to USA, South Alabama, and they have a gem in this young man. Hard hitter, fills the gap like it's no business. Really does a great job reading the play in the offense, and he is going to be a problem for teams. He is going to be a problem. And when you look at, we kind of talking playoffs and down the stretch, that's a guy, if you're not really aware and you're not fully prepared for him, first round, going to knock you in the mouth, and you're not going to know what hit you.
Yeah, that's definitely a team. And again, they made their run last year. Like, they expect to do it again. And they got, most of their guys back. That coaching staff has been working their tails off. They've been there, now going on probably 15 years.
Yeah.
Kind of almost building to this. And they finally have a team it's going to be nice. Maybe they host a Thanksgiving playoff game, like something along those lines. That should be interesting. And you mentioned Holy Cross and Chalmette in 2 weeks. How about the win Holy Cross had against E.D. White? That game was crazy.
Yeah, that was insane. I mean, as I talked to some of the coaches after the game, kind of like I mentioned earlier on this show, like what a great way to. It felt terrible maybe in a moment, up and down, but like looking back, what a great way to win a week 1 game. Like overcome all kinds of adversity. This is a team that is really going to rely heavily on their defense this year and in last year for sure, but for their offense to really be the one that really gets them through and overcomes some adversity and marches down the field to win late. Like, what a great confidence booster for that whole football team, just proving that they can win it. They can be able to win multiple ways. They're going to win games this year where their defense is holding teams under 10 points, and they're like we saw this week. Maybe there's going to be wins where they their offense ends up putting up 30 plus to be the reason why they win games. So it was really cool to see that.
Yeah. And the way they did it too, with the momentum swings, with E.D. White picking up a fumble. with
And-
like 6 minutes left to go take the
Yeah,
lead.
exactly. Like that
And
was
then
a
just to
perfect
go
time.
march right back down and score.
Yeah.
It's
And that's all with a new offensive coordinator, a new quarterback, all new wide receivers. Really, it's like for them to put that together with under 2 minutes left and go win the game was just incredible.
Lance, help me out. How do you pronounce this guy's name? So, for those who have not watched anything that me and Lance have done, poor Lance's job, part of his responsibility as my color commentator is to translate, to help me figure out names. And one time he's even coaching me in the moment. As a teacher, I appreciate that. He says, "Come on, Jason, say the name. Say the name." I still wait. DiGirolamo.
You got it. Nick DiGirolamo. Yep.
Great
He's
player.
Playing at Mississippi Valley State now.
Yeah, great player last year. But how do you pronounce the quarterback's name? Because that's going to give me fits
I'm
all
gonna
year.
I'm gonna have to check, but I'm pretty sure it's Jacoby Ferrari.
Well, he had a heck of a game, as you mentioned, and he hit Chamberlain in the end zone for that one big play. Chamberlain, a guy that's kind of been lingering around. But man, Savoy Guidry, love that guy. He is a freak. He's a guy who's going to be the staple of this defense in that secondary. Jonah Weir. I mean, I could go on. You can tell we've been covering this team. Sebastian Perez. I really like this defense, and I think this offense is going to find some pieces. Oh, by the way, Kieran Smith, who busted the 80-yard touchdown run too. A lot of pieces on this Holy Cross team. You are going to be in the Catholic League, so there's no easy wins or easy games. But I really think this team has a chance to, after not the season they wanted last year, to make some noise this year.
Yep, agreed.
No doubt. We'll go over to the Baton Rouge area. Central and De La Salle. Central coming off of a state championship. De La Salle and the Graham Jarrett kind of I think they've won one or two playoff games every year, but not those deep playoff runs that we got accustomed to them making. For them to go up there, Central wins 20-13.
Right.
That was impressive by De La Salle. Obviously, you don't want to take any moral victories, but to go up there on the road, I saw some video from that environment. That place looked absolutely electric. To play the defending state champs to a 20-13 games, that says a lot about De La Salle program.
Yeah, it's exactly my thought. I saw that score, and me and Jason are covering a lot of Holy Cross stuff, of course. So just because of Holy Cross's schedule, De La Salle is the one you circle and think, all right, this should be a win, And then you see that score, and it's like, oh man, we have to do a little more homework on De La Salle, what they're bringing to the table, because I know the Central team's been really good for a while now. So, it looks like there's gonna be a really good matchup this coming week with De La Salle and Holy Cross. But like you said, Coach Graham Jarrett been doing this for a long time. Great coach, gonna run a great program. And he's got, I know, a couple of his coaches as well. So, not terribly shocked to see him be prepared for week one more than anything.
Yep.
Yeah, they always have running backs. You're going to see a great running game out of them. And, when you look, I talked to Coach Jarrett last year. And, guys, let me read off the first 5 games of the schedule for you. You go they go to Central, okay? You have Holy Cross this week, St. Paul's, St. Charles, and Shaw. And I asked Coach Jarrett last year, I said, man, do you have a death wish with this with the schedule? He said, I must. He said, but it's going to help prepare us for the rest of the year. And it did. They were able to win. They ended up facing off against Calvary Baptist last year, which a lot of teams favored to win a state title last year because they returned all the players that won them a state title the previous year. So, it was a really good team. But De La Salle competed against them last year, too. It was 14-3. They played really well, but Central's defense, we continue to talk about Carr. Central's defense is disgusting this year. The amount of talent that they have on this roster, there's going to be points are going to be a premium this year if you are playing Central. And the big thing too is they had 2 red zone stops at the end of that game to hang on to that win against De La Salle. So De La Salle was close, couldn't punch it in, tried to kick a field goal and missed it, but 2 goal line stands are really what finished this game off, and that's going to be a tough defense for anybody to go against this season.
Yeah, no doubt. That Central team, man, what they did last year maybe kind of caught some people off guard until later in the year, but they're not sneaking up on anybody this year, and it looks like all they did was reload, and they're ready to make another run. Another score that really popped out over kind of in the Tangipahoa, Washington Parish area, Franklinton and Coach Salt beat a meet 39-12. I don't think it's, again, Franklinton winning that game, probably not a huge shock. The way that they won that game against a program like a meet, Coach Schultz might have something cooking up there at Franklinton.
No, I think they're really good. I just from following them last year, I remember thinking to myself, there's a bunch of kids that are coming back to follow them. Like there were another one similar to like Chalmette that seemed like they were a year ahead with the success that they were having last year. So I think Coach Sultan Franklin, that's going to be that's definitely a big time playoff contender down the road.
Yeah. And to your point, I mean, Amite has guys. Like Amite has dudes. They're a smaller program. They're a smaller school. But when you look at every year, you kind of look at the usual suspects and put them in a lineup. And this team's going to compete for a state title, this one, and this one, and this one. And Amite is always in that mix. They have talent there. So for them to put up that many points and win the way that they did is impressive. Both of those teams are going to be in the thick of it at the end. So nice for both teams to test themselves. But as you guys mentioned, Coach Salt mentioned to me after his first year, it was a rough season. And I said, because I called the Carr and Acadiana semifinal game with him, and I asked him how he liked it. And he said, I love it. He said, I love the program. I really think we got something special brewing. And he said, specifically last year, he said, I really like my team for next year. And they made a state title run. So we'll see. I'm very confident we're going to see more out of this team moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt. They got the quarterback back. They got a bunch of guys back. And, man, it feels like it's always high school football around here is always a little bit better when Franklin's really good. And it seems that they're back to being really good. Also really good. This is my team that I've picked, talked about it last show, and I'm going to continue to ride with them all year long. St. Aug beats McDonough 35, 56-6. That I keep coming back to St. Aug, and I know what district they're in. I know what it looks like, but man, what Coach Valdez has done and is doing with that program, I think St. Aug is going to be a team that's going to be really, really, really difficult to beat this year.
I couldn't agree more. It's scary as a Catholic League fan. I think they got the right coach. If you've been to their facilities, they have some of the best facilities, maybe the best facilities in the Catholic League now. They got their weight room set up. They got their locker room set up. They turfed their practice field. It's like, man, everything that you as a Catholic League fan of different schools, it was like everything that you always were scared could happen if St. Aug did all that, like it's gonna happen. And so they were unbelievable, I thought, last year. Like me and Jason saw them against Holy Cross. I was super impressed with the tempo of their offense, just the way they ran, personnel groupings on and off the field. I mean, they just looked so well organized for a first year coach in the Catholic League. Like I was very impressed with them. I think they are going to be, I mean, they're a problem, I think, in the Catholic League for everybody. I think I would go as far as saying they're going to challenge Carr. Like, I don't know if they're going to beat Carr, but they're going to challenge him this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're a year or so away from taking down Carr. I really do believe that.
The only problem is you take down Carr, awesome. You're probably going to have to play him again in the playoffs. But, yeah. I mean, seriously, you're going to have to do it twice. I'm not saying that can't be done, but that's going to take a Herculean effort regardless of the caliber of team that you are. I really like this offense, as we've talked about. Defense is going to be sound, but, man, Cuvion at quarterback, we watched him last year, really solid passer. But then you're going to be passing to you have Raekwon Williams, who like I said, grocery list kind of guy. Pick your school, pick your poison. 3 touchdowns in this game. And I really, really think highly of Miguel Whitley. He's a wide receiver. Lance and I called the game last year, as he mentioned. If St. Aug would have just sat there in the gun and run 9 balls to Whitley the entire game, and you connect on 5 of them, they would have scored 35 points. He is very rangy. He's a really athletic receiver, and he's going to be a problem for people this year. And by the way, as we talked about last week, Kaz, they had 2 hurt running backs last week. They can't, and so they're still getting healthy at running back, and that's the kind of game they put up. Pretty impressive.
Yep. No, Lance, what you said is exactly right. Everyone was always scared of when St. Aug got the right coach and got organized and got everything together. Like, there was no consistency there for the longest time, and it seems like they hit it. They hit on it, and it's going to pay off. For them, hopefully this year, but in the near future, it's definitely going to pay off. We talked about Curtis going across country and beating, going out to California and winning big. Jesuit goes up to Jesuit Dallas, which I don't know a ton about Jesuit Dallas other than traditionally they're usually pretty good. Jesuit wins 31-6. That's an extremely impressive victory for them.
Yeah, it's hard to really evaluate that victory, but I know that there's a lot of naysayers about Jesuit this year. They lost their best player. They haven't been great the last couple of years, and so I think there's some pressure on those guys to win this year. And so I think more than anything, I mean, what a great team building situation for them to go on the road and kind of prove themselves in the state of Texas, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's just a great victory for Coach Manali and those guys.
Yeah, and I really think highly of this team. I know they did lose a great player, but you still have Will Berry on the defensive line, who's really made a name for himself. A great player. He's going to be a formidable force for this team. Jair Burks, one of the fastest players in the country, 110-meter hurdles, ranks 13th nationally, is a great player. And I'm sorry, young man. There's another receiver there who's making heck of a plays. I do not know how to pronounce the young man's name. It's shoot. I'm gonna butcher it, but I'm gonna try. Mataluiski, I think it is. Sorry if you're hearing it. But he's been making plays for their team too. I think there's a team that could make some plays. And sorry, Roman Leray. I butchered what name I was looking at. Roman Leray is the guy I was thinking of. But yeah, I think there's a team that is definitely gonna give some teams some problems.
Just looking through some other scores from the week. Southside, which is a program that's relatively new, they opened up a new stadium last week or a couple of days ago on campus. It's a beautiful facility there in Youngsville, Louisiana. Little old Notre Dame from Crowley rolls in there and beats them 35-28. I say little old tongue in cheek because it is a small school, but it is a big time football program. That was a very impressive victory for those guys. Going into the place was packed. You're going on a road playing a really good team, and to go in there and win. It seems like Coach Luke Cook and those guys are going to be back to doing what they normally do and making deep playoff runs.
I believe I was told Southside already has a new head coach too, right?
Yes, Jess Curtis.
Yes, Jess Curtis.
Is he still there?
He is still there.
This is second year.
Okay.
He's from Manning. He was the head coach at Manning during that run. Yeah. But they were up 21-0 too, Cass. Notre Dame was up 21-0 in that game. Really played solid defensively from what I got to see. And their offense, really not something you're going to see very often, right? They typically like to sit in that I formation, run the ball right. They'll go in the gun some, but an impressive win for them nonetheless. But no surprise when you got a legend like Coach Cook.
Yep. We can get to a few more scores, but while it's on the top of mind, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my Hannon Hawks big victory over Northlake Christian. That's the first time that those guys that we have won the first game of the season, I believe, since 2018. Coach Soper, he's entering his second full season as a head coach. He's doing a really good job with that football program. It went through some really tough times the last couple of years, but just being around him and seeing how he goes about his business, the participation in the program's up, the numbers are up. We actually look like a Division II football team now, and it was really, really big for those guys to go get a victory.
Nice.
And Northlake's supposed to have a good team this year too.
They do.
Transfer quarterback from St. Stanislaus. They're a solid team.
I tell you what, Northlake just getting off the bus and just physically looks impressive. I mean, their offensive linemen are huge. They've got some really good athletes out in space. Like they 100% look the part, and those guys they're going to be fine. But that was a really big win for him.
I was going to point out one South Platte rating state champ, Tiny 1A beat Higgins. Higgins is at least 4A, if not 5A. Yeah. And so, I mean, anytime you see a 1A beating a 4A, 5A, it's pretty impressive, even if it's the reigning state champ. And so I think they're back for more this year. South Platte, and their quarterback, as well as a couple of their other studs, are back.
Yeah. No, that South Platte is, I think, was it 06, 07 when they went on that run where they won a bunch in a row? I think we might be seeing some more of that.
Coach, you're talking about under Coach Crutchfield back in the day? Yeah, I
mean, 08-ish, I believe, because we had Ridge Turner came to Northwestern. He was the quarterback that broke every record, like known to man, and he came and played with me at Northwestern.
Yeah. So that's how about Slidell beating Lutcher?
I watched that one too, man. And when I tell it, so again, the preface, did you catch the score? Did you see the score?
30-22.
It
30 to
looked
22.
there were touchdowns taken off the board. It looked like it could have been by a wider margin. Slidell really impressed me in this one. Damian Page, second-year head coach. They won 2 games last year. To win that game in front of your home crowd the way they did, man, I was really impressed with Slidell. Awesome effort.
Yeah, I saw the reading their season preview. Those guys were really excited about the season. You know, coming off, like you said, the 2-win year. That's another program traditionally that you know been really good, and it just kind of fallen on some hard times. But that's a huge win for that program over one of the best in the state in Lutcher.
Yeah, 1 game, 2 games I want to mention. West Jeff went out to Franklin Parish. We have not talked a ton about Franklin Parish, but Franklin Parish is one of the favorites in Division 2 Division 2 non-select. Loaded with athletes top to bottom, explosive offense, but really have some playmakers on the defense. They won by a wide margin. I don't remember the score, but really good effort on them. But guys, what about this one? Mansfield taking on Minden. Did you hear about this one yet?
Yeah.
No.
Dude, okay, Minden is up in this game 35-0 in the middle of the second quarter. Okay. Mansfield scores 30 unanswered, comes back. By the way, that's after overcoming 4 turnovers in a quarter and a half. Okay. They score 30 points unanswered. Final quarter, Minden kicks a field goal to go up. Mansfield returns the kick back for a touchdown, ties the game up. The next kickoff is fumbled. Mansfield goes down, scores a touchdown to win the game, and Minden had a chance to win it at the end. We're in the red zone, but going down 35-0 and coming back, that is unbelievable. Hats off to that program, the effort and resiliency that takes, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's impressive. It's something. It's something.
I've never heard of anything like it, so I would say
35 points, man.
35. I don't think I can recall anything like that.
No, it's crazy. While you're talking about that, Jason, you said it a little bit earlier, but I want to say it again. Like sitting Friday night, I was at a football game trying to follow everything on Twitter, but like Thursday night, the amount and the quality of coverage that we have of high school football in our state it's really picked up, and it's really, really good. Like on any given night when there's games on, like you said, you can catch streams, whether it's on VSN or YouTube, but it's not just being able to watch it. Like Neville's coverage of their game was really, really impressive. And all you have to do is go to YouTube to watch it. But that's really cool to see. I would name all the people that, we follow and all that stuff throughout Friday night, but I'd probably leave somebody out and make them mad. But if you're a high school football fan in the state, there's some really, really quality content out there that can really, get you up to speed and get you some good information. And that the kids deserve it. It's good for them to get that recognition, but good for all you guys out there covering the sport.
Yeah, it's been. Like I said, it's incredible.
I'm beyond jealous that we didn't have something even close to this good when we were playing.
Yeah,
no, we had NOLA.com.
I mean, really, I'm at
the point. I need 5. I need 5 iPads on a wall and just pull up games and watch them all at one time. It is unbelievable, and it's a blast. It's been a blast to watch it, and again, to be a part of the coverage as all of us have, but also to get to appreciate other people's product. There's a lot of great products out there, and it's been really fun to be a part of, including BSN, which is being streamed on right now. For those who are not watching on BSN, which we are very appreciative of again, and really thrilled. I'm repping my BSN gear, right? Very appreciative to be on BSN.
Yeah, no doubt. That's awesome. We have a blast doing it. The fact that there's people that actually watch is even better. That's cool. Tell some friends to come on and watch again. And we're talking about good products. We said we would end the show like this before. Lance, what you thought about what happened in the Dome today?
Oh boy! All right, so on the spot. I thought that I actually thought they exceeded my expectations. The Saints. I thought that. I mean, look, midway through the third quarter or so, my friend group chats were already talking about how bad of a season it's going to be and moving on to next year. And then all of a sudden, down the stretch, Spencer Rattler's leading us back to possibly tie up the game late. So I mean, I really loved and appreciated the way our guys kept fighting to the end. I mean, I think Kellen Moore's the right guy. I think, and we got some good young pieces to build upon. And so, I mean, as long as these guys are fighting and they're playing to the end like we saw today. I mean, that's stuff I can root for. I'm not expecting any kind of great season this year, but I thought it was very inspiring, I would say, to see those guys fight to the end. And guys like Cam Jordan have been doing it for so long. I mean, he had one of his best games this year. I mean, it was crazy how well he played today. So yes, I mean, I'll be watching every Sunday no matter how it ends up.
Well, it's almost like because the expectations are low, it has a chance to be an even more fun season, because if they're going to go out and play like they play with the effort they played today, it's going to be fun.
And the thing is, like, I can't help but to think this, and of course you can say this every game, but let's say Groupie makes that routine field goal that he's going to make 98% of the time, and then Juwan Johnson catches that ball.
Yeah.
Like, we win. Like, that's how close the margin of error is in the NFL. You could say the same for a couple Cardinals plays. I mean, they had the dude wide open for a 97-yard touchdown pass they overthrew too. So I mean, there's a lot you can say on both sides, but you can see how close we really were to winning today. And I mean, not to mention all the penalties. I mean, we look like we were, playing in the jamboree today too. I think the Saints, So so I'm sure it's only gonna, I'm excited to see how we improve to week 2. I always thought that from week 1 to week 2 is the most improvement you see with any football team, from high school all the way to the NFL. So it's gonna be a good week 2 either way.
Yep, no doubt. And it was. I was in the dome for the game, and you mentioned those guys fighting today. And after the Saints did not score with 9 minutes left when they were forced to punt, the dome emptied out, and that was kind of disappointing. But the ones that stayed, and they got treated to a heck of an ending. But it is what it is. Any thoughts on the Saints, Jason? I know we just threw this on.
Not much. But in other news, in high school news, well, let's end on something positive. Two losing streaks were ended on Friday, and good for those programs. Morgan City broke a 14-game losing streak, but Manny broke an 11-game losing streak against Logansport. And that's a really good football program. It's a smaller school, but for them to be able to do that opening week with a brand new coach and Coach Hassel and former Red River coach last year, I mean, really just an awesome thing to see when you're able to give your community that win, especially a community like Manny that was accustomed to competing in the Dome every year just a few years ago. So hats off to both of those programs.
Yeah, no doubt. And there was 2 other teams that are currently on long losing streaks that they were off last week. So they did not get a chance to play and try to break them. But, hopefully for their sake, they snap those here soon. And that's a good way to end it there, right there. We're breaking losing streaks, and we're looking forward to week 2. It was a heck of a week 1, I think, maybe as expected. Week 2, I think, looking back at the results from week 1, we have some really exciting matchups loaded up here for week 2. We'll get into a little bit more of those on Tuesday. We really appreciate you guys watching, hanging out with us. This is Sunday nights. This is where we're going to be. Sunday nights we'll be right here talking some high school football. This is awesome. We have a blast doing it. If you like it, follow us on our Twitter, follow us on our Facebook page. You subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to be live every Sunday night right here at about 8 p.m. You can also catch us on demand on VSN.
Don't forget, we were discussing earlier, and Tuesday now. So we're not with us realizing to keep the format, I'm saying concise at the 59-minute mark, but to keep it to where we're doing recap one day and preview another day. So we're changing the format slightly. So, but yeah, excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So thank y'all for being with us again. You can catch us on demand on VSN. You can do it live here. No, Petey, Juwan Johnson is not a waste of money. He's going to be just fine. But we appreciate you tuning in.
We got a lot of we got some commenters already in the
I like
in
it.
the section.
I like it.
Let's add some more next week. Let's add some
Yeah.
more. I
That's it.
love it.
This is also the most viewers we've had since we started doing it. So
Thank
y'all
everybody.
this is awesome. We have a blast. Hopefully y'all have fun along here with us. So with that said, y'all have a good Sunday night. We'll see y'all again on Tuesday.